A very good afternoon to you. I'm Unati Pagyasha, and of course you tuned into SA Today. We're bringing you live coverage of the Thabo Bester escape. Of course, any moment now we are expecting Dr Nandipha Magudumana to appear in the Bloemfontein Magistrate Court, as you can see there on your screen. These are live visuals coming to you from the Bloemfontein Magistrates Court. Our reporters are both inside and outside that courtroom. She is, of course, facing a string of charges. As you know, Dr Nandipha will appear any moment. We know that she was already transferred from the police station where she was currently kept. She will be charged with helping her partner, Thabo Bester, escape from prison on the 3rd of May in what is now known as a faked suicide. Our reporter Aphumelele Mdlalane will be joining us shortly just to give us a sense of what to come. Aphumelele, are you there? Can you hear me? Talk to us about what we can expect today. All right, Aphumelele is not there yet, but basically, as you know, we saw the dramatic footage that came in the early hours of this morning. Bester and his girlfriend, Dr Nandipha Magudumana, were brought into the country under very heavy police guard. Of course, they are facing a number of charges. Of course, South African authorities, as you know, wasted no time. After getting Thabo Bester into the country, they put him back in prison and drove her to court, where she is going to be appearing momentarily. We understand that Bester is under maximum security at the moment, involving 24 hours monitoring at the Kgosi Mampuru, the second prison in Pretoria. Of course, he has not been returned to the prison where he escaped, the Mangaung Correctional Center. As you saw there, those G4S security being grilled yesterday by the Joint Portfolio Committee there of Justice and Correctional Services into just answering how this massive grand scale escape happened. Of course, you know that Dr Nandipha's father was also arrested and also was in court not too long ago, and he's facing charges of murder. He was arrested with a former correctional services officer, Sinoho Ishmael Mutswara, 39 years old, not too long ago. Aphumelele is ready for us. Aphumelele Mdlalane, thank you so much for your time. Of course, we are seeing live visuals of the courtroom. Talk to us about what is likely to happen there today. All right, Aphumelele seems to not be hearing us at this point in time, but we are seeing there, people filling into the courtroom. Of course, this is a very high-profile case. We know that, of course, there's going to be maximum security around Dr Nandipha Magudumana, who is expected to appear shortly. She will appear alongside a co-accused who now know who is an employee contracted to a company that installs and maintains cameras at the Mangaung Correctional Services Center. We saw, of course, the company that was contracted appear before the Portfolio Committee of Justice and Correctional Services yesterday, just answering to the kind of CCTV footage that was used at the time. We do obviously understand that there was and there is CCTV footage at the Mangaung Correctional Center. But we know that where Bester was at the time, cell 35, that footage is not available, as well as the administrative building, that footage is not available. Now, Magudumana, as well as the co-accused in this case that will be appearing, they are said to possibly be charged for aiding and abetting a convicted prisoner to escape from lawful custody and defeating the ends of justice, as well as a violation of a dead body. All right, let's now go to my colleague, Kamogelo Siekwi, who is currently inside court. Kamogelo, can you hear me? Talk to us about what is currently happening now. What are we seeing? We are obviously seeing that court proceedings are due to start shortly. Who is appearing and what are the possible charges?
Anticipation is building in the courtroom. I've just been told that the magistrate is about to walk in, and where I'm standing right now, I should move. But as you can see from the visuals, journalists are actually standing around the entrance from the basement where Dr. Nandipha Magudumana is set to come up together with the 44-year-old who will be identified when the proceedings begin. They are set to appear now. I'm just hoping that the magistrate doesn't walk in as I speak to you now, but you can see that people are really anticipating this appearance. The security guards around the court have also come. Everyone is just interested in seeing Dr. Magudumana, and that is what everyone is saying. They just want to see her. That is very interesting. But in a few minutes, the proceedings will start, and she's facing charges of aiding and abetting Thabo Bester from escaping from the Mangaung prison, which is managed by G4S security company. And the other accused who's also appearing will face a similar charge. He works for a technology company that's responsible for installing cameras at the prison. You remember that yesterday during the hearings in Parliament, where the Portfolio Committee on Justice and Correctional Services were talking about the issue of cameras in the prison and questioning the G4S management as to why is it that the cameras did not work, or that they didn't have footage when the Thabo Bester escape happened. For now, that is just what's happening around here. Everyone just wants to get a good picture of Dr. Magudumana when she walks in. In actual fact, we were told that she's going to walk in by the door, the entrance, but we also were told that she will be taken to the basement. So we're not really sure what is going on, but all of us as the media, we're standing around the entrance or the steps where we hope that she will appear so that we can get a shot of her.
Right, let's leave you
Studio.
Let's leave you now for now, Kamogelo. Of course, she is coming to us live there from inside the courtroom. That's the Bloemfontein Magistrate's Court, where any moment now proceedings are expected to start. But let's take you outside the courtroom, where our reporter Aphumelele Mdlalane is outside. Aphumelele, what are you seeing? Talk to us about what you are seeing. We know obviously that Dr. Magudumana was driven out of the Park Road police station a few moments ago. Talk to us about what's happening now.
Yes, indeed. Dr. Magudumana has arrived at the Bloemfontein Magistrate Court. There's not so much activity here, but the students who witnessed the convoy when it arrived here, and one of them, of course, he coming to the Bloemfontein Court. He saw.
All right, unfortunately, we are losing that sound there from Aphumelele Mdlalane. But if you've just joined us, of course, we are coming to you live from the Bloemfontein Magistrate's Court. Our reporters are both inside and outside the courtroom. Of course, this is for the much anticipated first appearance of Dr. Nandipha Magudumana, who is due to appear any moment now. She was recently driven in from the Park Road police station. Magudumana, as you know, was on the run for several months with her boyfriend, escaped murderer and rapist Thabo Bester, who is currently under very tight police security. He's obviously at the Kgosi Mampuru, the second correctional center, a C-Max prison in Pretoria, after being on the run. So today it is the court appearance then of his girlfriend, Dr. Nandipha Magudumana. Any moment now we hear that the magistrate will be entering that court building. As you can see there, a number of media who is there, but my colleague Kamogelo Siekwe is there. There we have it. There you go. That is Dr. Nandipha Magudumana being escorted into the courtroom. Of course, she's going to be appearing alongside a co-accused, and this is an employee who was contracted to accompany that installs and maintains cameras in the Mangaung Correctional Center. That, of course, is also one of the issues there that will be discussed. There we see Dr. Nandipha Magudumana there being flanked by 2 police officers or correctional services officials, I would say. She's currently being briefed by her attorney, I would imagine, and any moment now we will be expecting the magistrates to come into court. She is, of course, facing a number of charges together with her co-accused. I don't see the co-accused there on your screen at the moment. But they will be charged with various charges, including aiding and abetting a convicted prisoner to escape from lawful custody. And other charges that we are expecting are defeating the ends of justice, as well as violation of a dead body. There you see her co-accused sitting right next to her. But let's listen in a little bit. Well, just a few more moments before the magistrate comes in to these proceedings. Of course, these are live visuals coming to you from Bloemfontein Magistrates Court. There you see Dr. Nandipha Magudumana, who is appearing in court. She is joined by a co-accused, and we understand they will be facing a string of charges, including defeating the ends of justice as well as violation of a dead body. Of course, Thabo Bester and his partner Nandipha Magudumana were arrested on Friday in Tanzania. They were brought in the early hours of this morning. They came through the Lanseria International Airport. Of course, our reporters were at that scene trying to get in a few questions. They're asking them, you know, how they feel and what they think of the arrest. She's been silent ever since. So here she is in front of the camera, very well protected and, of course, covered in a mask, and her co-accused sitting right next to her, an employee contracted to a company that installs, maintains and cameras at the Mangaung Correctional Services. You will recall, of course, the company in question of the CCTV cameras that were responsible for the Mangaung Correctional Center, where the grand escape happened on the 3rd of May 2022, was in front of the Portfolio Committee yesterday of Justice and Correctional Services, where they answered questions being posed by MPs. Of course, we do know that there were CCTV cameras on the day of the escape and that they were operational, but we were told yesterday by G4S officials that while the cameras were operational at the prison, they were not operational in the administrative building, as well as the area where Bester was at the time. Now, we know this area to be a private, a single cell, where it was called cell 35, where he then managed to escape. We also heard yesterday that there were 23 G4S employees on the day that were working at the time. So a lot of questions around why then 3 officials from the Mangaung Correctional Services have been suspended and subsequently fired from this escape. Of course, questions being raised in terms of how many more officials, whether senior or otherwise, have been or should be implicated in this grand escape that we are currently seeing now. As I said earlier, Thabo Bester will not be appearing alongside Magudumana. Of course, he is currently under 24-hour surveillance at the Kgosi Mampuru, the 2nd Correctional Center, a CMAX prison in Pretoria, after he was on the run. Of course, we know that those proceedings with the Portfolio Committee of Justice and Correctional Services will continue today, and of course the Justice Minister is expected to be testifying a little bit later on, and of course we'll take you to that as we go along. But questions really being raised here in terms of who else could have aided and abetted Thabo Bester from escaping prison. We know that earlier on this week, we saw, of course, Nandipha's father, Dr Nandipha Magudumana's father, was also appeared in court. He appeared alongside a former Mangaung Correctional Center official who was fired. He was one of the 3 officials that were fired from the Mangaung Correctional Center. Of course, they are facing charges of murder. Their next court appearance will be on the 17th of this month. A lot of questions, of course, surrounding his involvement, and that's official at the prison. At the time of the murder, he is suspected to have been the one to start that fire at cell 35 on the 3rd of May 2022. Now, what was interesting about that is that he started the fire, he's alleged to have started the fire on the 3rd of May of 2022 and destroyed Thabo Bester's prison cell on that day. When MPs asked G4S if the facility has any fire, detectors in the prison, they were told that, in fact, the entire facility does not have fire detectors. And so that is how Mutswara, that is the accused that has been arrested with Dr. Nandipha's father, Zolile Sikelele, he was then able to deter some of the officials working at the scene not to approach that prison cell. The body that was at that cell at the time was burnt beyond recognition on the day of the fire, which is why it was initially reported as a suicide. Of course, we know now, because of the investigations done by Ground Up, that was just a cover-up, and that in fact Dr. Nandipha Magudumana as well as Bester were able to then orchestrate that entire escape. They've been living, interestingly enough, since that escape in South Africa. And it's only in March, after the Ground Up story broke up, that they were then able to be smuggled out of the country. And in fact, it is believed that they were assisted then by a Mozambican national who was also arrested with the couple in Tanzania on the 7th of April, as you will recall. The Mozambican national, we understand, is still in Tanzania. All right, let's take you now back to court where the magistrate has arrived.
No more photos. As please about your state court case number 28/113/2023, state against Thabo James Dipulu, Nandipha Magudumana. The court will note that this matter was before court 11 in respect of accused 1 and 2, whose matter is postponed until the 17th of April. The state requests that the accused before court be added to the same matter as accused number 3 and 4 respectively. Accused number 4 is before you on the basis of a warrant of arrest, a J50 warrant of arrest, which was issued on the 23rd of, and the state requests that it be cancelled. I am informed already that Advocate Diba is appearing for number 4. The state is not certain in respect of accused number 3, thus requests the court to inquire in terms of the legal representation. As it pleases.
Thank you. Mr. Diba, firstly, do you confirm?
I confirm my plans on behalf of accused number 4, Mrs. Magudumana, on instructions from RC National Attorneys as the court please.
Thank you. Thabo James Dipulu. Sir, you've got the rights to legal representations. You may appoint an attorney at your own cost If you can't afford to pay one, you may then make an application to the Legal Aid Board to be assisted of an attorney free of charge, or you may elect to conduct your own defense.
That is not to be but like how unless in about the story business national one of so about the legal aid that is put the money because I feel like I'm going to the team so about the legal aid about it like I don't say my rights which component my own defense.
Right. This is an application brought by the state in terms of the provisions via Section 157, subsection 1 of the Criminal Procedure Act for the joinder of the accused. Mr. Diba, is there any objection?
No objection, there's a court cases.
Sir, any objection for you to be joined to these charges?
And I will go to see and also what law section 57.
Request that against 3 and 4 be postponed until the 17th of April 2023, when 1 and 2 will be accused, and as well as in terms of 56 of the Criminal Procedure Act for bail information until then, as it pleases.
No objection against the request by the state as the date has been arranged between ourselves.
Thank you.
As the purposes.
A lady and a gentleman, the case is hereby remanded until the 7th day of April 2023. Court number 20A for bail application, as well as for your co-accused, accused number 1 and accused number 2. Both of you will remain in custody until then.
As it pleases, just before the interpretation, I hear the court saying is for bail application until Monday. The state requested in terms of 56 is for bail information and possibly then bail application. Not necessarily that the matter is postponed for bail application. That will be determined on the 17th of April, as it pleases.
Mr. Diba?
No objection there to that has been agreed upon with the state. As the purpose.
Then, ladies and gentlemen, to rephrase, it will be for bail information as contemplated under the provisions of Section 50, subsection 6 of the Criminal Law Code, and for possible bail application. Yes, you may resume the seat. You may resume the seat.
That's my role before you, Your Worship. I'm not sure if there's any matter still pending before this honorable court, but for now, we may adjourn until further notice.
Right.
Yes,
Thank you.
please.
Everybody to remain where you are seated and where you are standing until I have exited. Thank you. Court adjourns.